Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of A Great Conversation here on Nerds in Suits. Today my guest is Mr. Mark Ellis, one of the Schmoes, one of the founders of the movie trivia Schmoedown, a good friend of mine and one of the funnier people I've ever met in my entire life. We have a great conversation about all sorts of things, what we're doing during the pandemic, share some of our songwriting versus joke writing, drunk late at night on a voice memo stories, which is a lot of fun. And Mark is just wonderful and always great to talk to. So thanks for tuning in today. A big time thank you to all of the Infinity patrons here on the Nerd Network: John Patterson, Trevor Fast, Nicole Krafik, Lucas Shashek, Jake Yakavetta. You guys are the best. You guys power the ship. And if you are a double diamond patron or a platinum patron, stay tuned at the end of the episode to hear your name and see your name in the credits, because a big time thank you to everybody who's doing that. All right, guys, enjoy the episode. Have a good one. And you're on here for the first time. I'm excited to have you here, man. I had so many questions, follow-ups to last time that we had you on action that I get to ask you now.
Yeah, and I really dropped the ball because I knew it was Nerds in Suits. I knew what I was getting myself into. I wore this, and this is about as dressed up as I get, unless it's a Star Wars premiere. And I also, while I'm happy to be here, Ben, the title of the show really puts a lot of pressure on your guest. It really asks me to really bring the heat, and I'm looking forward to letting all of your viewers down today.
Yeah, okay. Nice reverse psychology. You don't have to throw a fastball, man. You can throw a changeup, nice and slow, and then you'll just kick in right at the right moment.
I got nothing left for this conversation, but I'm happy to see you. You look great as always, so it should be a good time. Molly's now wandering off into her den, so I think we'll be good for a little bit.
Well, I tried to squeeze into a shirt with a collar, which I haven't done in months. I did that for you, Mark. So I swear to God, I feel like I've gained weight, but I've gained weight in like all these weird places. Like trying to move my arm to even move this Diet Pepsi. The jacket is so tight on my forearm now. I don't even,
Yeah, when I put on the jacket to announce Schmoedown, sometimes I just get that fat guy in a little coat, and it'll go away with the same jacket. I can put on the same jacket one day and announce, and I just feel like Farley. And then the next day, I feel like I'm wearing my dad's suit, where it's just all big and gangly. And so we have no idea what's happening to our bodies. One day we're Stretch Armstrong, the next day we're Rick Moranis from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's just it's touch and go here in the pandemic month. I don't know what's happening outside.
We're in month 5, to be honest, but I'll tell you something that didn't exist, I don't think, in month 1 is that fucking sweet Mark Ellis Van Halen logo behind you there. When'd you get that, man? That's incredible.
That actually did exist. That was in concert with the release of Dog Stepfather. So it was I think November, December. My buddy Trey Bennett, who's a great graphic designer, mocked that up for me, and I gave him the exact note that you imagine I gave him. I was like, "Hey, so let's do something that looks like Van Halen, but not so close to him that we can get sued." So that's about as close as we can get without the impending lawsuit. So very happy to spiritually be in that family.
Yeah, it's a good family to be in, man. I love logos with wings. They're great. We ripped off Top Gun, so we're all on the same level. But anyway, man, I'm definitely happy to have you on the show. So you're taking care of Molly. How many days a week do you have Molly during this pandemic?
I think that when we break it down between me and her mom, it's pretty 50-50. There's some weeks where I have her 4 or 5, maybe 6 days a week, and then she'll go to her mom's for that period of time too. So we never have like a schedule. We've never, because we're still good friends and we live fairly close to each other, so we don't have to have like a calendar on the fridge or anything. Whose day is it with the dog? We just kind of feel it out, and it's been working so far. I love the long walks with her. It's just been a very peaceful, blissful time when I just get to put in my AirPods and go for a walk with the dog. She can smell for hours, and she can she loves smelling flowers, grass, and she just loves being outside. So she is not a tough dog to take for a walk.
Have you guys ever done the like parents are the divorced parents arguing in front of the kid thing, and you're like, "Don't do it in front of Molly," and you say that happened? No.
Molly knew when me and her mom were dating. Molly was very keen on whether there was an argument that was about to happen or whether we were in the midst of an argument, because she was very smart about not taking sides. Like she would literally just like stand like in the middle in between us and just like look up with those big beagle eyes, just waiting for the storm to end.
Does Molly have strong feelings like towards people you guys date, like the step parent thing, like kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire type of situation? Just can't be around Pierce Brosnan.
There's a joke in my special, which is a true story, about how her mom had a guy over after we had broken up and I'd moved out, and Molly didn't take, or maybe she was nice to the guy, I don't know. But the next morning, Danny had discovered that the dog peed the rug. So I like to think that was a little bit of her being like, "You ain't my pappy," and just lifting the old hind leg up.
A little territorial, and you're kind of like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." You're like,
"Oh yeah, somebody got an extra treat that weekend for sure."
Well, I'm glad you have a pup to keep you company, at least for half the time during the pandemic. I know when we talked to you a few months ago on the Action Show, you were talking about sort of figuring out stand up in this we're all dead at home world. How are you doing with it now? What's the latest development?
It's always a wrestling match just for your soul when you think about stand-up and what to do during a time like this when you can't be in front of a live crowd, or at least a live crowd that feels like what the comedy clubs and the theaters I used to play would feel like at max capacity. But I've always said this, is that comics are very good at entertaining rooms of half-full people or people who are social distancing. Back when we were all doing open mics, the crowds were social distance. Why? Because there weren't a lot of folks there. They would show up and you'd have like a 300 seat comedy club, but it's Sunday night at 1 a.m. And so you have 12 drunk people left and they're not sitting close together. And so you just do what you can with it. So we've always been able to surf on stage. And when it comes to doing like online virtual comedy shows, I've only done a few that were like charity based as opposed to, hey, it's my show. But that's going to change. I got a couple cool ideas and offers that I think I'm going to take them up on. I was very hesitant to do it for a long time. Because I just didn't really feel like I had a lot to say. And now I feel like I'm starting to get my voice back. I'm starting to get that random, you're driving around or you're walking the dog and you just get that little thought bubble of, oh, that could be a bit. And so I'm kind of starting to think about comedy in terms of performing it in an empty room with nobody there, but for a crowd that's watching virtually. And so if you just recalibrate what your sensibilities are and you're not waiting for the laugh to come because it ain't coming, then I think that I'm going to manage it okay. So I'm looking forward to showing it to the people. And I have a couple ideas I think are funny. So you can only confirm if they're funny if you put it out there in the world and see what the response is.
That seems really daunting, man. I got to say, as a musician, I can tell you, like when you play and you get no response from an audience, it's you give it everything, but it's still like there's a energy level thing and a groove that I think I don't know if I'd be able to, with comedy especially. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. That sounds crazy to me.
It seems like the energy and the groove you're talking about with playing music can save you, or at least save your ego from feeling the full destruction of a joke bombing, just because you can rock out on a song for 4 or 5 minutes and then you're done. And if you felt great doing it, and then if the crowd didn't respond, all you have to do is launch into the next song. Then you're back in your own little universe. So I imagine you want to have the crowd vibing with you, but when you're a comic and it ain't going well, it's very, very tough to save. And you, more often than not, you do just go into the crowd. If the material ain't working, then you go into the crowd and you just try to rescue your set that way by resetting and letting them know that I'm here, I see you, I can talk to you. And it just puts that subtle reminder in the back of their heads like, oh, if we don't laugh, this jackass is going to ask us another question. So we better start supporting the prepared material.
Do you think like the top comedians in the world, like let's say the top 10 comedians in the world, they still bomb even now?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Really?
Times. Well, it's interesting because when you hit a certain level of fame, people are just happy to see you. They're happy that you showed up to this comedy club. Even if they knew they were going to see you and they paid hundreds of dollars to come watch, they're happy that you're there. But if you're talking about Jerry Seinfeld playing Las Vegas at the Coliseum, he's not bombing that set. And the reason why he's not bombing that set is because he's worked on that material in comedy clubs and he has such a mind that will let him know if he came up with something funny that he wants to try that night. He knows exactly where to put that joke in the set so that it's got a nice soft landing, and that if the joke misses or he doesn't deliver it right, he's got an easy rebound. So the crowd is never going to know that was a joke and we intended that a lot differently, but it didn't work out that way. So you learn recovery skills very quickly. And that's why comedy ultimately is easier than brain surgery, because You mess up with brain surgery, everybody knows. Everybody knows that you botched that job. But if you botch a joke as a comic, but you've been doing it for a while, usually the patient can't tell.
That's funny. It's a good point you make, though. We've seen it like when we go to the Schmoedown live events, and you put like literally any one of us in a packed room with like 100 people in there. Granted, if you put me up there, I might bomb. But I mean, everyone I've seen that has gone up and done a set so far, everyone, it's crushed. Because they're so happy to see all the people there, right? You're playing to a stacked audience.
Yeah, you get up there and you do get that break if people know who you are and they're excited to see you, but that break goes away. And if somebody's opening for me and they get 8 minutes, they get 10 minutes, whatever they're doing, they know that they're going to get a nice pop up top because our crowds, and I say our crowds because we have a lot of overlap with that Venn diagram, are amazing. They're great supporters virtually, and they're even more passionate in person. And so you're going to get a 1 to 2, 3 minute parachute that's going to give you a nice, gentle feeling on stage. But that time runs out. The sand is not permanent in that hourglass. And so once it's done, you got to deliver. And you see it with the most famous comics in the world. They usually like to go up, and they've gotten the applause before. They've gotten the standing ovation. They've done the biggest hauls you could possibly do in the world. And so they're not there for the love and the adoration. When Chris Rock goes up in the original room of the Comedy Store, he's not there because he can't wait for people to recognize him and take pictures and go crazy. He's there to work on a piece of clay that at some point is going to be a finely crafted statue that is another great bit. And so he is hammering that out. And sometimes it's a dirty process to watch the sausage get made. He's great at it, but even the best comics in the world, you just never truly know if it's funny until you say it out loud on a stage.
Do you think right now, obviously politics have always been a big part of comedy, right? Like you joke about it because everyone's talking about it, so it's relatable. But like politics right now have been pushed to this next level of like almost like it's not just identifying who you voted for. It's like there's a lot of there's a lot of anger that comes with that conversation now. It's hard to even have those conversations right now. Do you find that you can't make those jokes, you can't write those jokes because it's just too sensitive at the moment, or it's never too sensitive for comedy?
Well, you can definitely write the jokes because there's so much material out there. Because you watch any news-based program and you can instantly see what their angle is. You can instantly see what fan base they're trying to cater to, which voters, which party they align themselves with, and that's their audience. And so people who are somewhat level and fair-minded, which I like to think I am on a good day, on my best day, is you can see the truth in it, but you can also see the absurdity of the spin. And so when you see the spin, that's where you can write a joke about it. And if you illuminate the absurdity of the spin, whether it's Bill O'Reilly or Rachel Maddow or whoever's talking, or the president, you can see what the spin is. And if it's obvious enough, or if it's not obvious, you can make it obvious enough in your joke. Even people who support that person are going to laugh. Like I've made Trump supporters laugh making fun of their guy because they all know that he says absurd stuff from time. Even if you support him, you know that he goes off the rails occasionally. And I think that it's always a delicate balance. So you're a little bit walking on thin ice because you want to get the laugh, but you don't want to hit people over the head with being preachy because they worked hard all week to pay for a ticket to be entertained. So it's a balance, but that's the fun of it, man. I mean, it's the fun. Like I dare say that any great quarterback, you could talk about Tom Brady or Russell Wilson, they want to win the football game. Okay. They care about winning and they do not care about stats. However, they might get a little bored if the only play that they run is handing the ball off 3 yards in a cloud of dust up the middle. They want to take that deep shot. They want to do that crazy out of the pocket move and just get that juice flowing. And so that's what political comedy usually does, at least for me.
Interesting. Do you laugh at your own jokes? Like when you're writing them, do you write it and find yourself laughing out loud? Or do you think somebody might think this is funny? I think it's interesting.
I got the giggles one time. It doesn't happen often, but it can strike me right because I use this baby and I use the voice memo app. And so I play my voice memos back to me from the night before. And sometimes if I had a little bit of help going to sleep or a pot soda, then I will listen to it even in that night, because I can get a little chuckly when I do too much of the wacky weed. And I was saying something about Skeletor. I had a Skeletor bit and it was just killing me. I don't know if it makes anybody else laugh, but it made me laugh. And so I think more often than not, though, if we think of something that we know is funny, it's just like a comic watching another comic perform. We very rarely laugh out loud, but we just say, that's funny. So that's the ultimate praise from a fellow comic, is not a laugh. It's just, that's funny.
So your voice memo thing is funny to me because I'm that way with music, right? So anytime I'm in a big moment of inspiration, there's lots and lots of 45-second mumble verses and a big chorus, and some of them are good, and some of them are so awful when I listen back to them. And also they're terrible because like I can hear, I was definitely hammered when I recorded that. Like I can hear it in my voice. I'm super pitchy and off key there. I don't know why I just kept going back to that melody over and over again, but at the time when I was doing it, I guess it sounded awesome.
That's the trick. That's the trick, is that you got to hit that window of being, maybe you need a little buzz, you need a little something to get to that creative space, but sometimes it goes overboard and you think it's funny and it's not going to be funny the next day for you or for anybody else. Because we always hear those stories of Keith Richards just woke up in the middle of the night and got this divine inspiration to write the riff for Satisfaction. And he wrote it. Yeah. And that's why we have that great song to celebrate. How many songs woke Keith Richards up in the middle of the night and he wrote it down and he brought it to Mick and Mick said, that is shit. What are you doing? That is the worst riff I've ever heard in my life. So for every divine inspiration moment, there's a lot of stuff in the trash bin.
The producer I'm working with right now, we were listening to all these voice memos and he was like, are you taking a shit while you write that? I don't know. What are you doing in that one? And I was like, no, I'm getting out of the car. And I was running me of a funny bit.
Here, I'll see if I can find you one. This is probably from, this is probably from way back. So 2020. Let's see. What is this one
here, guys?
It's the fight thing. It said I've lost, if I average 5 fights a week, probably I lost every one. So 2.5 years of being together, it's probably about 600 fights. So what is your favorite sport? And imagine that team lost every game for the next 6 to 10 seasons. Imagine what that's like.
So that was a little relationship yarn I was on, clearly late at night, because you can hear the yawn in there. And I just wrote this bit about how nobody would be rooting for me if they knew what my last relationship was like. I would not be anybody's favorite person because I've been in that many fights and I never won. I literally never won a fight. And so I was trying to put that into a bit, which I might bring back at some point, but I think there's potential there, but that's all you hear. You hear potential. You don't hear, oh, that's hilarious. You hear, oh, that could be something down the road.
You never want to fight. Like when you say that, you're saying it like jokingly, but legitimately you never want to fight. Not one.
Any fight that I won, Ben, would be completely torpedoed by my cockiness after winning the fight and then being high and mighty and then saying something else stupid. And that, so I've won battles.
Yeah, okay.
Won battles. I've never won a war. And it's not because my last girlfriend was a better arguer than me, and she's a better debater and roaster for that matter. But I was also just in the wrong. Like sometimes you just have to admit, oh yeah, that's my bad. So it was usually my bad.
You got like a couple quick passes inside for 3 or 4 yards, but when you went across the middle for that first down, you got laid out.
It's exactly what we were talking about. I can hand the ball off in a relationship. I can get a couple first downs, but as soon as I take that shot out of the pocket, I'm getting
you just get knocked on your ass. That's funny. I think about that. I think about the whole having fights thing and what it actually means to even win a fight. Because I don't know about you, but I have the hardest time having the person I'm with be mad at me. I have a tough time with it. So if you end the thing and you feel like you've won, but they're angry, then it doesn't feel like it's over yet.
Well, no, that's the thing. Yeah, that's how you win the fight in the relationship is you take an L. you just take a knee. The way to win a fight, you might be a great arguer and you might have the right point, and it doesn't matter. That's my relationship advice to anyone: is take a knee sometimes, fall on your sword, and live to fight another day, because there's another fight coming, and if you keep losing, maybe one day your partner will feel sorry for you and give you a freebie.
And give you the free win? Yeah, and it'll be on something sweet. Like, I want this cabinet to store my Magic cards. So, I'm going to use the whole cabinet. And she's like, great. Good. That's cool. Don't worry about it. You can have the cabinet.
It's the only thing we have. The only thing that I really have in any relationship is my ability to plan. So you have to turn into like a city planner and just think like, well, I'm going to lose this fight. Then I'm going to lose this. Then we're going to have to go see her parents. I'm going to have to go to her house for the holidays. And then, but all we're thinking is like Super Bowl Sunday. Okay, if I do favor X, Y, and Z, eventually it leads up to Super Bowl Sunday where I can just do whatever the hell I want. So you just have certain holidays in your head that you plan for that nobody else might celebrate, but that Thursday night drinking with your buddies at B-Dubs is going to happen because I'm doing A, B, and C as a favor leading up to it.
Yeah, it's a good negotiation. The relationship we mentioned, Molly's mom, is that since you've lived in Los Angeles, is that the longest relationship you've been in, or do you have another big storied one that was earlier in your life?
I think that's the record holder for Mark's relationship history total. I dated a young lady in college, and we were right at this. I think she was like 2 months older than me. And so we had a great relationship, and we're still really good friends. I'm friends with all my exes because the life's too short. And we dated for, I think we fell just shy of 2 years. And the reason why we fell just shy is because I moved to LA to pursue my dream of telling yucks on stage, which by the time we actually broke up, she was fully in support of, and I'm sure she was happy to get me out of the house and move on with her life. She's doing great, and we stay in touch. She actually will come hang out with the family during holidays and stuff too. So she's amazing, and we look at it like when Thanksgiving happens in the Ellis family, I'm her plus one.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Your family, so you're her. So your family enjoys her.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They clearly like her more than me.
Ah, wow.
Which I can't blame them.
Remind me again where you're from, Mark.
So I'm from parts unknown, which is everywhere on a United States map. I was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I lived there for 6 weeks. And then I came back to go to college there at Wake Forest University. In between then, moved to Panama City, Florida, moved up to Rockville, Maryland, out to Fairfield, California, back to New Jersey for a few months, and then down to Columbia, Maryland, up to Williamsburg, Virginia, where we kind of settled and planted roots. And then I moved to LA after college. So that was the Mark Ellis Odyssey. And then since being in LA, as you probably know, having been here for a number of years, I think I moved 8 times.
Yeah, what is that about? Why do we all move in LA so much? I'm getting ready to move again.
It's a weird thing where you just get cabin fever sometimes. You get a better opportunity. I mean, the usual matriculation of a career, hopefully, is that you can get a nicer place or you can move up and level up and afford this kind of apartment. But you'd think it'd go away after some time. Not for me. I can say that sometimes you just get tired of your neighbors. Sometimes you just get tired of the situation. You go to your friend's place and you see what part of town they live in. I have a buddy who lives in Santa Monica, and I was down there a couple of weeks ago at the beach by myself, social distancing. And I was looking around and I texted her and I was like, I should live down here. Now, am I ever actually going to move back to Santa Monica? Probably not. But it was just one of those things where the grass is always greener or the sand is always more beautiful.
I mean, I've been in I've been in LA for 11 years. I think I've been in Santa Monica for like 8.5, maybe 8.5, almost 9 probably total. I've lived in like 4 places in Santa Monica now, I think. And I don't think I'll ever leave. I'll be honest. I think I'm never going to leave.
I used to have this stigma about living in there because I lived over it was more West LA than Santa Monica. But the reason why I tell the story to everybody who doesn't live in Southern California is that there's this huge stretch of pavement called the 405. And there are certain times of day when it's a normal world that you just don't ever cross it. I'm not talking about crossing the actual street. I'm talking about traffic is so bad with all the surface streets that are anywhere close to the 405 that you just don't leave. And so as a comic, especially as a comic starting out and hitting any open mic that had stage time, it was very frustrating having to constantly go over or cross under the 405 to get to Hollywood where most of the spots were. So I just kind of had in my head that I can't live in Santa Monica, but now I don't need to go to the comedy clubs every night anymore. I have enough of that experience, like what we were talking about, to think, oh, that joke's going to work, so I'll do it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, as opposed to tonight on Tuesday. So I can chill for a little bit, and I like relaxing. And as I've gotten older and wiser, I really put a premium on relaxing and healing myself mentally and physically. And Santa Monica is pretty good for doing that.
Phenomenal for doing that. I love it over here. You talk about healing yourself. I noticed you've been posting on Instagram the last year about getting yoked, doing like a home workout program. We can obviously see it. When did that start? When was the home? There you go.
8-pound weight that I'm just.
Have you always been somebody who works out, or is that more of a recent get healthy thing?
No, I was always big into working out and fitness, even though my body never reflected it. It was just one of those things where I love playing sports. I should say it like that. Playing sports has always been my passion. And so I will compete at anything. I will play anything. And I love doing it. Now, the actual discipline of working out and having a fitness routine, that has come and gone. And I've gone through periods where I do get really fit. And then there's other periods where I just kind of let it go. And I'm eating Taco Bell every night at 2 a.m. And that's kind of the lifestyle. And so when the pandemic hit, I was like, well, I did what everybody else did. And I was just like, well, I didn't drink on Tuesday, so I'm good Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then you start to think, well, I do have an opportunity here to try to get in better shape, because my lifestyle when the world is normal is I'm out late a lot at night, and I will have a couple beers after a set on a weekend, or I will swing by Taco Bell on the way home. And now I don't have to do that. And it's really not advisable to go out and go to restaurants or go get food to go. It's better to cook for yourself. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just during this period, and back then I was like, it's not going to be that long. It'll be a couple months. I'll work out, I'll eat healthy, I won't drink. And this has been the fruits of that labor. I don't know how long I can keep it up, because I did have my first cheat meal in like, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months. And I went to Popeyes and got the chicken sandwich. And Ben, I just want to go back. I feel like what's his face after they got back from the island on Lost, and he's just yelling at Kate, we have to go back. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, so that's the funny thing about anybody who's ever been into fitness ever. And when I was 25, I was like a trainer and I was all into it. And look, you eat healthy and you get used to it, and it does taste good. Like, trust me, there's things that I found in healthy eating that I really enjoy. The protein and veggie, that kind of diet, like, great. Here's the thing. It doesn't just intrinsically taste as good to eat Brussels sprouts and steak as it does to eat fucking pizza or to eat a fried chicken sandwich. It just doesn't. It just one is like really good, and the other one is like, good, but in that lifestyle.
It's just, but the weird thing is that I have found that as I've really had a strict diet and been eating healthy, which my meal plan for the day is usually plant protein heavy shake in the morning, and then lunch is grilled chicken breast and brown rice, another shake in the afternoon, another grilled chicken breast and rice at night, and then occasionally like a little protein heavy snack, and that's it. And what I found is that I do crave the fast food crap less. Yeah. But in my mind, I still have this dream of getting to and I don't know what that body looks like, Ben. I don't know what that measurement is when I'm going to get to that place where you feel like Rocky at the top of the mountain in Rocky IV, where you accomplish the goal. Because you never accomplish the goal. Nobody ever has lifted weights on a Friday at the gym, looked in themselves in the mirror and been like, you know what? I'm done. I did it. I'm going to leave and never come back, because you always keep coming back. So right now my goal is I have a number in my head I want to hit. And once I hit it, I'm going to allow myself to, it's not even good, is the stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. It's just in my head and I can't get it out.
But it's good though. Trust me, as somebody who's done it. I'm starting to do goal setting and implement rules here on this channel. Actually, on Monday nights, I'm doing a stream. It's all like positivity, and it's encouraging all the patrons here of Nerds and Suits to do it with me. And my first one was 30-day goals to break habits, right? So my first one was no delivery of any kind for 30 days. Cause I was just, I'm a late night eater. I get stoned, or I have a glass of wine. I want to eat a pizza. Happens too often, and you get used to it. You crutch on it. So I was like, 30 days, and it's definitely helped. So I'm I'm with you on the on that one. You have to make those. But wow, so you're really going for it. The brown rice and chicken breast. That's the go for it version of the diet.
Hey, you got to train your body, man. And so, like I said, I don't crave the fast food as much. And I found that it takes a while for your body to get back into that Taco Bell mode, because I could have Taco Bell right now and I would feel like awful. Like back in the day when I would eat Taco Bell, I'm like, you got to get in Taco Bell shape. And I'm not anywhere near Taco Bell shape. I made it through the Popeyes chicken sandwich okay, but that was at night, and then I fell asleep. So I made it through that okay, but I am not in good fast food shape right now. I'm an embarrassment to my family.
Are you, so you said no drinking also? Are you doing a full no drinking quarantine period right now?
On the weekend.
Look at that.
I'll have a couple beers. Well, I got spoiled because my birthday was like smack dab in the middle of this thing, and I had so many people deliver me like a case of Coors Light. Sam Levine and Rachel Cushing, God bless them, showed up with like 40 Coors Lights, and so I just had all this beer there. And back in the day, that's a hearty week for Mark, but now I can't even drink as much as I used to. Like I can have a couple beers and then I'm done. I'm like, I don't have the taste for it anymore, so I just go to bed. It's I don't know who the person who's talking to you right now is, Ben. This is water. I still put the gum on top. So this is chewed gum, and I didn't put it in the water because our dear mutual friend Roxy got so grossed out that I don't put it in the water. I just have it out here so everybody can see. Yeah,
right. I think I remember her getting super grossed out by that.
It's kind of
yeah, it's kind of so I do extend the invitation for questions for the guests on this show. All of our certified platinum patrons. By the way, I feel like you would appreciate the levels of certification here on Nerds and Suits more than most because you're a music guy. So the opening level of the Patreon, you're certified gold, NIS certified gold, then you're NIS certified platinum, then you're NIS certified diamond. So we're like, record sales.
That is great. Can you name? So what is diamond? Diamond is 10 million.
Diamond's 10 million. Yep.
Okay. Can you name the 2 Van Halen albums that went diamond?
Yes. Probably. Let me think about this. 1984 must have gone diamond. It has to have gone diamond.
84. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, 84.
84 had to have gone diamond. And I'll bet you none of the earlier albums did. I'll bet you it's one of the Hagar albums. It's probably 5150 would be my guess.
I think 5150 got fairly close, but Van Halen 1 is certified diamond as well. Yeah.
Yep. Interesting. So Eruption just did it for him. Just got there.
I mean, when that thing hit in 1978, it was like a comet to the music scene that was all splintered by, you had some singer-songwriters, you had disco taking over, you had punk rock, and then you had a big R&B scene, and then Van Halen hit with influences from all of those, but they also just brought back that pure rock and roll energy that wasn't overproduced, because you had bands like Boston and Styx that are great, but it felt very studio heavy, and then Van Halen comes in and just beats the shit out of you with guitar, and I think that's what the folks craved back in the day and still do to this day.
Yeah, I mean it's a really, really good record. All those early ones. I do like some of the Hagar stuff though. I have to say, a lot of people they hate on that stuff a lot, but I'm a fan.
It's great, great stuff.
Yeah, but so all of our certified platinum and above patrons can submit questions. So I've got a few here. John Lestrino with the first question, call sign #Ladies Night. He's also Action Army. How important has having Molly with you been during this pandemic, and how much Coors Light have you consumed? We kind of touched on those a little. If you want to expound at all,
Here we go. Here, we'll keep the beast up there for a little while. She's been such a blessing, man. I've always loved that dog with all my heart. There is a famous story now that when I first started dating her mom, I for some reason I had this rule where I was just not a dog. I love dogs, and I grew up with a German Shepherd who's the greatest of all time, Augie. But I just kind of become used to not having a creature in my dwelling and the smells and whatever toys that come with that. And so I didn't want any creature infiltrating that. And so I told her that Molly can come over once a week was like my rule. And that lasted for about, 3 hours, because I mean, how do you not fall in love with that? So very quickly, I realized that Molly and I were going to be kindred spirits, and we're going to be linked for a long time.
Well, it is wonderful to have an animal to keep you company. I have thought about it, but I just think with the travel schedule and all that, though, I don't travel anymore. So who knows how long we're stuck in this moment. Our next one here is from another Diamond patron. This one is from Brandon Buckingham, call sign Cash. Favorite experience at a Schmoedown live event, asks Brandon.
Oh man, the one that sticks in my head fairly recently. I loved what Roca said because it's towing the line of us being a family-friendly show, and we don't want swearing on stage or anything like that. But after the Orlando event, he was given his post-game presser with Jen there, and he just said that he's so happy he got the win. He's going to go home and make love to his wife. The way he said it was like, if you had told me, if Christian came to me before the show and was like, hey, so here's the storyline, if Roca wins, he's going to say this, I'd be like, dude, that's over. But just watching it play out in the moment, you can't help but chuckle at it. So that's just the one that randomly sticks out in my head. And then we went, because I was in Orlando, we all went like across the parking lot to the sports bar, and we all closed that place down. And Wake Forest happened to beat Florida State that night at football. So that was a rarity. And so that's a night that I will treasure with all my little heart.
I was supposed to be on that bill. I'm so disappointed that I wasn't. Obviously, my back surgery did not allow me to be there.
Right.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was special to delay it so I could win the 2 matches at Spectacular, but I still wish that I had been in the Florida show. It would have been a fun one.
Yeah, and you were a gamer. Like, we had to talk you out of the airplane. So with a little bit of help from your doctor, we had to be like, no, dude, you're not flying. You're like, you're not flying. Relax, heal up. It's a long life that you're going to lead. So this Orlando event is not important. Plus, Roca's going to say something hilarious in the post-game interview.
I remember talking to my surgeon, and I said, so look, I understand that you have very limited availability here, and I want to get in to have the surgery because I can't operate my right leg anymore. But just be honest with me. If I got on an airplane and I was like, what if it was 3 days after the surgery? He said, absolutely not. I was like, okay, what if it was 7 days after the surgery? He said, I'm telling you, it's a very bad idea. 10? He said, no, the answer is still no. What are you talking about? And I was like, but what if I did? I couldn't let it go, but I eventually did.
You're the combination of a gamer. You show up for the big event, and you also have seen way too many action movies. So when those two things coalesce, you got to remember that you don't own a cape and you're not a superhero. So I'm glad that you chose wisdom over your intuition of competition.
I mean, action movies, they just, and not even to some degree, just like Seagal action movies, but even like just movies that have a lot of action, they just disregard and expect you. I mean, look, you and I were just talking about the Prometheus scene when she does the operation. She takes the alien baby out of her stomach. She literally slices laterally like a foot across her stomach, takes out the baby. Then the sweet machine like staples her stomach up. Then she just gets up and starts running around. Like, I was like, man, that would have been great if I could have done that.
Someone who's had hernia surgery, that ain't how it plays out. That is not how it works.
No, I couldn't even like move. I think I stumbled. It was amazing that I could stand enough to use the bathroom after I got out of operation. So,
I was peeing in cups for 2 days, and then you can finally get up and move around a little bit. But I do not recommend it. So that's my one goal when I exercise now. It used to be break records and beat whoever you're competing against. Now it's do not get an injury that is going to require stitches. That's my big workout goal.
Yeah. So our next one here is from Justin the Juice, who's a platinum patron here. What is your favorite Waynesworld quote? And if you were throwing a concert and could have 5 bands play from any era, what would your lineup be? Whew, that's a lot of material to work with in that one, Justin.
That's a very, very good question. My favorite line from Waynesworld, I love anything that Farley says. I love anything that Handsome Dan says. If I have to go, I want to give due respect to Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. So if I'm thinking of, I do love when Garth is doing his best to hit on Kim Basinger's character in Waynesworld 2. And so he says, I can go to a movie on a school night like that. So that's the one that I will go with. Now, I think, and then I think the bouncer at Gasworks says something about how Wayne's asking who's playing tonight in the first Wayne's World, and the bouncer's like, somebody, and the Shitty Beatles. They're like, are they any good? And he's like, they suck. So that'll be my answer. And then the band question. All right, well, we all know who's headlining. So I'm going to have Van Halen from 1981 headline. That's going to be then opening for them. Let's do Aerosmith.
Yeah, what era though?
Let's do Aerosmith. I'm actually going to go a little controversial. I'm going to go Aerosmith past the drug phase. I'm going to go Aerosmith 1993. I'm going to do them
With,
like to get a grip there.
And kind of there. Yeah. Living on the
Yeah.
edge, all that.
So they're going to be second on the bill. Third on the bill, I might do Queen.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to do Queen first. I'm going to open the show with Queen just to get everybody focused and ready to go. I'm going to have Guns N' Roses follow Queen. I'm going to do Queen from like the late 70s. I'm going to do Guns N' Roses from 87, 88 when the Appetite record came out before Axl thought it was cool to delay the show 5 hours because my show's starting on time, Ben. Freddie Mercury is starting on time.
He's starting on time, yeah.
And then my third band is going to be Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Wow. Okay. Skynyrd. Okay. So that's the curveball you throw in there, kind of slightly different vibe, a little different era. Good stuff, though. Wow, that show would be incredible, man. That show would be absolutely unbelievable. I think Guns, my all-time favorite. Tom Petty's my all-time favorite. Guns probably number 2.
Yeah. I'm now that I'm booking this show that you really put a lot of responsibility on me, by the way. A lot of people are looking forward to this, to go Handsome Dan. I think people are getting really cranked. If you had Van Halen as the headliner, I could go like softer. I could go more Southern rock because I would love to see a bill of like Allman Brothers into Skynyrd, into Tom Petty, into Black Crowes. And then I can have Van Halen headline that. So that would be a great show as well.
It's a phenomenal question, Justin. Thank you for that one. I got to ask you, so Farley, because I'm the biggest Farley fan. Farley Waynesworld 1 or Farley Waynesworld 2? Do you like him on his way to Detroit? Or do you like him I got nowhere else to go when he's trying to get the mic stand up?
And they're going to meet here. I love him as the befuddled bouncer in Waynesworld 2. And I also just love I don't know, man. I hate my dad. I'm going to go pick a fight. Every line that man really ever said on camera, he just, whatever the writers gave him to work with, he maximized the potential of every syllable. And it's very, I don't know that there's another performer you could say that about.
Yeah, he's definitely my all-time favorite guy to laugh with. I it was the saddest thing ever when he died. Yeah. There's a great, I went down a rabbit hole a few months ago. It was around the time you came on. I do this periodically where I just go start watching old interviews on YouTube, everything I can find of the guy. And there was one Sandler telling a story about him, about being pissed that he had to fly back for SNL because he was like shooting Tommy Boy. And it's the Pepper Boy sketch. And Sandler's trying to do the pepper, and Farley's got the huge beard, and Farley's like, I'm gonna make you break, Sam. I'm gonna make you break. I'm gonna do it. And so when it cuts to him in the thing, he's like, thank you, Pepper Boy. And he just goes so hard at him. And it's amazing. And you're like, God, that guy with one line in a scene could break the whole scene. He could bring the whole thing down.
Yeah, you could know. It doesn't matter if you're the host that week and you're not used to this, or you're a regular performer and you have to work with that guy every day. You can prepare for it. You can prepare for, okay, then Chris is going to come up from the basement and he's going to give this big thing and don't break, and you can prep. But the fact that he almost making Phil Hartman break is the best compliment you can possibly pay to somebody. If you get close to making Phil Hartman break character, you are an astounding comedic force.
Was he was that like a thing of his? Classically, he never broke. He was always just
Hartman solid. Was probably the most professional performer I've ever seen on that show. He was the unsung hero, and now he gets a lot of love, deservedly so, but he was the glue of sketches. He was always great as a straight man, but he was still funny. And I don't know that I've ever saw him break in a sketch. And Will Ferrell was really good at not breaking. Like, it would be an interesting stat, and this is perfect for the way that I know your brain works, is to go back and watch SNL and see, like do stats with the cast and see which cast member made the other cast break the most, because it's probably Farley or Ferrell or maybe Eddie would be in that category, because it just they didn't break as much back in the 70s. And then you would have to have an asterisk kind of next to Ferrell, just because if you played in the Jimmy Fallon era, it was a freebie in every sketch.
Right. Yeah, Fallon literally, that was his thing. It was like his thing to break during sketches. I agree though. I think that's probably the top the top group there. And it's like some of my favorite guys of all time, which makes sense. Our next question here is from CJ Robinson, another platinum patron. Mark, how has it been for you to watch the Schmoedown evolve from season 1 to what it is now in season 7, not including the COVID situation?
It's been an incredible ride, including the COVID situation, to be honest, because what mainly Christian has been able to put upon his shoulders and just steer this ship through so many different eras, even though it's only 7 seasons, the landscape of YouTube, of behind the scenes of our different studio setups, of the different entities that we partnered up with to get this thing to where it is now has been vast, and it's been fraught with dead ends and weird turns and exits off the highway that you don't know how long this road goes for before you hit a gas station, but we somehow have made it to this destination. And the fact that this thing was able to continue and really build momentum during such a scary time in the world is a testament to the fans who watch it, because they love this thing and they are the backbone. And so once something bad happens, or once there's a situation in the world that nobody can control, you want to go to your creative outlets to escape from it. And the magic of the internet and the incredible fans have given us that opportunity. And so I think every time Christian and I suit up to announce a match, whether it's virtual, on a stage, in a studio, we know who we're doing it for, and we know that we have to give it everything we have because the fans have already given us that.
Do you see any parallels between your favorite sports moments that you see Schmoedown things happen you're live for, and you're like, that really feels like when I was watching this thing? Does that happen to you at all, or no?
Well, I think we both know there's been a lot of Bill Buckner moments.
Yeah, okay, sure.
There's been a lot of Bucky Dent home runs in the history. There's been a lot of Carlton Fisk. I think of Stacey Howard coming up with the correct answer to upset Zipper earlier this season, where that was a Carlton Fisk hitting a deep fly ball to left field and just waving it fair and just getting it at the last second right over the foul line pole. That's what that reminded me of in the moment. And when I go back and watch it on replays, that's one of my favorite matches to go revisit, just because it was such a well-played match to that point, and that ending is just unexpected is way too short of a word.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Like, we look at the movie trivia Schmoedown stuff, and you hear people every once in a while, you'll hear like a harsh critic talk smack about it. Like it's people, it's wrestling and movie trivia, and if you're in it, it's impossible to ever see it that way, because if you're in it, like it just feels so viscerally entertaining and compelling. It's I mean, I've never competed in a sport, and I was on sports teams for over the years, but I never competed in a sport that feels anything like competing at the highest level of this thing. The kind of intensity, the kind of tension that comes with it. It's compelling stuff to watch. I was in the room for that Stacey thing, and that was a crazy ending. That was mind blowing.
Yeah, it's just the entertainment value is something that I don't even think Christian and I could have predicted would have risen to the point it is. And that's not a credit to ourselves. It's just a credit to the energy that you can't bottle up, that you can't say, oh, we want to do a show like that. Well, if you want to do a show like that, then you can't just start the show and then say, oh, well, 7 seasons later, it's going to be that. You would have to go back and develop this relationship from 2008 or 9 when we launched the YouTube channel. We started partnering up and did the podcast. Even before that, when we met each other doing stand-up. And so it's just our two sensibilities came together to initiate the thing. And then his wrestling, sports, entertainment, competition-minded brain was able to engine the ship, and just occasionally I'll shovel coal into the fire, but it's really his locomotive that is running, and the tracks have never been healthier.
Do you think, because Christian obviously he spends every waking moment thinking about making the Schmoedown better. That is Christian Harloff to a T, as had many conversations. What do you think is the thing that you have added to the Schmoedown the most? Like, what is the most significant thing that Mark Ellis is responsible for?
I have no idea. I have no idea where they haven't locked the doors or the code for me to click on to announce the match. I think the only thing that I will give myself any credit for is it being a good foil for Christian when he's announcing, because he's wearing 1,000 different hats. Yeah. Even in studio matches or online, and especially during a live event. So I think that it just eases his brain to know that if he has to run off stage and take care of something, or duck out for a match to coordinate this scene that we're shooting, that he can rely on me to steady the ship and either be comic relief when I have to be, because I love doing that, or being the captain and running the hosting and announcing sect of the show, because I also love doing that. I don't have to be getting the punchline every 10 seconds. I love listening to announcers when I'm watching sports, and I love being able to channel that sort of passion into the sport that I get to announce.
Well, thank you for the question there from Double Diamond Nerd Network member CJ Robinson.
Earning your Patreon level status today. These are great questions.
Yeah, these are really good. CJ Robinson, the Double Diamond. I've told this story before, but I feel like you'll find this funny. You know Del Frisco's? You've seen that steakhouse, right?
I've dined there. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's described as a double eagle steakhouse. So at one point when I was looking up what the fuck a double eagle steakhouse actually is, I couldn't find any quick explanation for what double eagle even meant. I just was like, that's just something cool they maybe came up with to make them like we're a double eagle steakhouse. So I almost called that tier the double eagle tier, but I felt Double Diamond was a little more appropriate given what we had come up with.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't give into your tummy on that one with the
double eagle.
Double eagle. I got a double eagle a couple of days ago playing Wii golf, so maybe Del Frisco's has a championship level golfer in their brigade.
Perhaps. I'm a big Del Frisco's fan. Love steak. Next up, we got Dr. Megs here, Meg McCurley, asking what moment for you on the desk or while competing was the turning point in how you viewed or thought about the Schmoedown? Is there a moment, like a turning point moment for you can remember?
There's probably a bunch of them where you kind of realize that I think realizing just how seriously everyone takes it. It wasn't that I didn't realize how serious this thing was. It was just that I think that I give competitors, this is after I had stopped competing for the most part and just been the announcer, is a couple seasons ago when I had to make a ruling against John Roca's team. And I am clearly aware of the passion and the competitive drive that everybody has when they're up there, especially the championship levels. And what I didn't take into consideration necessarily, I made the right ruling in my mind, but what I didn't take into consideration is that the way that they look at me occasionally is just, oh, he's a comedian, so he's going to make fun of everything. He's not taking this seriously. And so if there is a verbal spat or there's a disagreement, I'm not tooting my own horn. I have the ability to take you down. Okay. I have a very special set of skills, and I'm like Liam Neeson in Taken. I don't want to use them ever.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go to Europe and rescue my daughter, but if I need to do it, I'm going to do it, and it's going to be quick and it's going to be hard, and you're going to regret coming to me afterwards. So in that moment, I didn't realize that a lot of people are just thinking, oh, well, maybe Mark's just going for the joke here, because I said something that, again, I think was deserved in the moment. But when I talked to him afterwards, he was still hot. And so we had a back and forth, and you realize that maybe somebody is looking at you and they don't appreciate your desire to make this a great show. Maybe they think you're just trying to make fun of the situation, which I was not trying to do. So we squared everything up, and that's usually how Roca and I deal with these things. But and we've been good. We were good that day. We had a beer across the street afterwards. But I think that it's just one of those things that I always have to be cognizant of, is that some people are just going to look at me as leading with my comedic foot, even when I have to make a tough ruling or make a tough call, have a decision that is not going to be popular. I have to take that into account, that I need to be the adult sometimes and not just the little chuckle monkey on the side.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that realization of the seriousness with which people assign this game is one that happens to all of us at some point while we're doing it. For you, obviously, it's a little more specific because you're the guy that people are pointing at to make those decisions a lot of the time. And so, and especially, obviously, being the comedic guy, there's that extra layer to it. But it definitely, every rookie that comes in that hasn't had that moment yet, the first time they have it, I always appreciate getting to see the look in their eyes afterwards, because it's like they're shell-shocked all of a sudden. They had their first upsetting or overwhelming moment with the game. And how could that happen? We're all just talking about movie trivia and talking in accents and things. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of times when it happens now, because I do see it a lot with newer competitors and even with some veterans, is that they're so overwhelmed and they're so upset in the moment. And you, as the announcer, you're just like, are they about to unleash fury on the microphone? Do they understand that this is how the game is played? And usually now, because it is a lot of fans that have risen up from the ranks to compete in the actual league now, you literally see the wheels turning in their head and they think, oh, this is like when that competitor had that moment, or this is when this person was a fan of in season 2 or 3 had that moment. And so they're rewinding the history of the Schmoedown in their head to find something relatable to what they're currently experiencing. And that's the beauty of the game, is that while there's very little that has not happened on the answer desk or the question desk yet, there's still people who have not experienced that moment firsthand. And so watching that happen again, it makes me more prepared for it when it does happen, but you can see it in them that it's a shock to the system. And a lot of times it's a necessary one to get you to that championship belt place.
Yeah, I think I always remember watching the 2012 NBA Finals, the one where Durant and Westbrook lost to the Heat. And I'm assuming you watched that Finals. I remember at the end, Kevin Durant, he's hugging someone and he's just weeping. He's like the outpour. He's crying so much. And I remember watching that and thinking that is the emotional heart of somebody who's given everything they have to this. They assign so much expectation. That's somebody who really cares. And I think we've seen it a few times in the Schmoedown where somebody gets totally overwhelmed like that. Not that many times, but a few times.
We've seen it, and we've seen all aspects of how a competitor handles losing as a necessary component of eventually getting to the mountaintop. The NBA is the easiest one to correlate it to, just because there's fewer moving parts than in something like a baseball team or a football team. And so you see it with the passing of the torch. With the Pistons had to get through the Lakers, and before that they had to get through the Celtics, their big Eastern Conference rival, and they didn't always handle it with the most class. And then when the Bulls had to get to where they wanted to go, they had to go through the Pistons. And the Warriors had to get through teams. The Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron had to get through the Spurs, and they didn't. But you saw at the end of that finals in 2007, Duncan hugging LeBron and just kind of passing the torch of, hey, this is your league, go take it. And they realized that in a loss is what is going to come out of that is going to be something much stronger. It's like when Spoelstra, the coach of the Heat, said there's guys crying in that locker room and everybody made fun of them for it. But it's like, no, they care about this stuff.
Yeah. I do love the sports corollary. It's such a fun component of it, and it makes me so appreciative to be into sports. Our final question here is from Ryan. So by the way, that was Meg McCurley here, call sign Quinn, who is a diamond. She's a general in the Action Army. She's a diamond nerd, the Nerd Network. And then Ryan Chandler, who's our final question here, who is a general in the Action Army, but also is a platinum nerd in the Nerd Network. His question for you is, will you be doing any future virtual bar trivia shows? I'd love to see more.
I might bring back bar trivia occasionally, but I feel like that was something to get us all through the early days of quarantine when we're still trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And I think as everybody's found their footing a little bit and been able to get back to the normalcy that is at least resembling of their day-to-day life, that you don't need it anymore. And it, to be honest, was just something that I got a big kick out of doing. And I like giving some money back to the folks who give us so much. So that was fun to do. And now I'm more thinking about the ways that I can get back to my stand-up roots and doing it, whether there's an audience there or not. So bar trivia is definitely not dead, but I'm especially where I am in the production of Schmoedown behind the scenes, there's a lot of trivia going on. And so I may want to take my Saturday nights off from trivia now.
Yeah, this tournament that's coming up is going to be something.
It's already something, trust me.
It's a lot of matches. All right, Mark, well, we're going to let you go in just a couple minutes here. If the folks want to follow along with everything you were doing, where can they find you? Talk about your Patreon. I know you have a Patreon.
I do, yeah. It's I'm trying to get some more content up there right now because it's a stand-up based Patreon, and I've uploaded most of the stand-up I have to upload. So you can check it out at Mark Ellis Live. No sweat to contribute anything, but if you want to do some window shopping, come on by. And I have Dog Stepfather you can go watch on Amazon Prime right now. You can just watch it on YouTube if you want. So there's a lot of TV sets I have that you can go find on YouTube and stuff too. But more than anything, it's about to be all about Schmoedown again. We had a great Star Wars tournament that was airing live on Twitch. There was a boatload of fun to do. The Inner Geekdom tournament is heating up, and we have a singles tournament coming up after that I can already tell you guys from insider knowledge, the matches are going to be intense, and it's going to be a lot of fireworks there. So Ben, I gotta shed the comedian side a little bit, and sometimes I gotta be the adult in the room because it's that kitchen's gonna get fiery.
Well, hey man, I'm not in this tournament. I just get to watch from afar. I get to watch along with the matches, which I'm excited about.
Are you jonesing?
I'm gonna take. Oh, it's so hard. I want to take my shot so bad, but the truth is, a 36-person tournament, it's so many matches that I would have to win the singles title. If I wanted to do the tournament route, I think I'd have to win 5 and then win the title. I'd have to win 6 in a row. I did 5 last year, and 6 in a row sounds insane. That's the record. So if the person who wins this tournament wins the title at the end of it, I think they will have set maybe that's not true. 7 in a row maybe is the record.
Hey, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to go through this tournament and win. And maybe you're right. Maybe you should relax. And you honestly look too healthy to compete at your top level, because I know you do your best work with a broken back. So maybe get somebody to give you just a pipe to the lower spine, and then you'll be back on your trivia game in no time.
Rough it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm doing my study, and I'm helping my man Mark Riley, getting him ready for his match that's coming up here. So I'm excited to see it. Mark, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you have not already hit that subscribe button, please do. When this interview's over in just a few minutes, leave a comment. Comments mean a lot on YouTube. Some people don't know that. If you leave a comment, it boosts the thing in the algorithm. I'll respond to it. I respond to every comment.
Yeah, you know what else it boosts? You know what else a comment boosts, folks? An ego. And Ben Bateman, I know you think he's a good guy. He's got a tiny little ego, and occasionally it needs stroking. So tell him he did a great job today. Tell him his guest was whatever. You could say taller. You could say the guest was taller, because this is the very first time in history I've actually been a little bit taller than Bateman. So I am going to take this trophy, and I'm going to hold it over you until I see you in person again. Now I'm 3 inches taller than you. Ha!
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. I don't know how you did that. So, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the episode. A big thank you to Mark Ellis for coming and hanging out. Bye to Molly. Thanks to all of the patrons for asking their questions. And Ellis, stay healthy, my friend. Enjoy a beer on the weekends, and I'll see you soon, I hope.
Hey, had a great conversation with you. I enjoyed it. I hope all the fans did. I know somebody wasn't that thrilled by it, but hey, I got some food for her, so everybody's happy. Have a great weekend, my man. Everybody out there, keep taking care. Keep supporting everyone else, because that's all we can do is put aside our own stuff and take care of someone else, because it's a scary world. We're getting through it, and we'll all be back to normal at some point. Until then, I'm only going to drink once a week.
And once again, that wraps it up, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of A Great Conversation. Big time thank you to Mark Ellis for showing up, having a great conversation, or, not a disappointing conversation, as he said earlier in the episode. If you're here listening, please leave a comment. Please hit the like button. I will respond to your comment, and, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. So big time thank you to all of the Double Diamond patrons here in the Nerd Network. Thomas Gosselin, brand new patron, big time salute to you. And a Ty Strayton, Douglas Castle, Jeremiah Morris, Douglas Emmett, CJ Robinson, Charlotte Gherkin, Pardis, Jessa Dawson, Philip Gustafson, Brienne Chandler, Joseph Boros, and Jeff Alterman. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of A Great Conversation. See you on the next one.